A figure emerges, drenched in blood, her wide smile contrasting sharply with the chaos around her. She stands poised, brandishing a weapon, the marks of her recent struggle still splattered across her clothing. The air is thick with tension, and the shocked expression on another character's face reveals the gravity of the moment. She seems almost carefree amidst the horror as she wipes her brow. Amidst the chaos, a soldier stands frozen, disbelief etched on his face as he confronts the horror around him. Beside him, a bloodied young woman extends her hand, and the tension thickens. In the year 2045, two boats glide silently across the dark waters near international boundaries. Their lights flicker, reflecting on the surface. On a vessel, two figures are caught off guard, one stands with a box in hand while the other looks up, surprised by something in the distance. Their focus shifts, drawing attention to an unexpected sight nearby. In the darkness, two figures on a boat notice an unusual light in the distance. One points toward the source, curiosity evident in their posture. The water reflects the glow, hinting at something mysterious ahead. In Science City Tuaca, a sense of urgency fills the air. Technicians rush about, trying to restore communication lines that have been down for hours. A large facility stands at the center, where satellite operations are coordinated. The call for contact echoes as everyone focuses on resolving the critical situation. A man speaks urgently on the phone. Nearby, a group of people moves swiftly, their attention focused on the ongoing crisis. One individual reflects on the failure of the satellite and GPS systems, highlighting the severity of the situation. In a busy office, a man speaks on the phone, his focus directed toward a critical communication issue. Papers are scattered across the desk, indicating the urgency of the situation. Nearby, a colleague discusses the status of the undersea cables. In a large control room, technicians are gathered around their desks, focused on their screens. A display board shows critical information about the communication lines, all of which are down. They discuss the mysterious barrier affecting operations. In a busy office, a technician points to a large display that shows alarming data. Another person seated nearby leans forward, examining the information closely. They try to understand the widespread disruption affecting their systems. In a sprawling urban landscape, a figure stands at a podium, ready to address an attentive audience. The city stretches out below, a mix of buildings and streets. A speaker stands at a podium, addressing a group of attendees. Behind him, flags represent the nation. He outlines a significant change, emphasizing the differences that lie ahead for their country. A dignified figure stands at the podium, flanked by national flags. The audience watches intently as he makes an important announcement. Nearby, officials prepare to support the unfolding events. A leader stands at the forefront, making a crucial announcement to the nation. The urgency of the situation is clear as he declares a national emergency. His words resonate, signaling the gravity of the circumstances that have led to this moment. Nearby, officials prepare to take action, ready to respond to the unfolding crisis. Signs indicate a critical situation as the nation faces impending isolation from global connections. The streets are filled with vehicles, symbolizing the complexities of modern life as the impact of the crisis unfolds. In heavy traffic, a driver grips the steering wheel, surveying the congestion ahead. Nearby, another figure gestures, indicating the frustration of the stalled vehicles. The driver contemplates the implications of automation, recognizing its impact on the current situation as they navigate the gridlock. In a traffic jam, cars are immobilized as people step out to assess the situation. One figure surveys the scene, puzzled by the unexpected delay. A large, dark structure hovers silently above a cityscape, casting an unusual shadow on the buildings below. Residents look up, their attention drawn to the mysterious object that has disrupted the ordinary scene. A large structure hovers above, casting a shadow. People below look up, trying to understand the unusual presence. A figure awakens, confusion evident as they question their reality. Thoughts of a dream linger, and they grapple with the unexpected situation unfolding around them. A hand reaches out, startled by an unexpected presence. A robotic voice announces that challenges lie ahead. A figure contemplates the weight of responsibility resting on their shoulders. They reflect on the absurdity of their burdens, which include the future of humanity and the fate of their homeland. A figure lies on the ground, thoughts racing as they consider the adventure ahead, likening it to a tabletop RPG. They grapple with confusion while acknowledging the challenges posed by the machine empire and the dangers of the Great Temple. A young figure reclines, contemplating their future path. They express a desire for skills suited to exploration. Nearby, a voice inquires about their strategy for facing upcoming challenges. A figure envisions a future filled with companions, reminiscent of a tabletop RPG. A figure realizes the significance of not being alone in their journey. The concept of support from humans on Earth becomes clear, along with the assurance that their country will provide assistance. The protagonist struggles to maintain awareness, grappling with fading consciousness as thoughts of perseverance surface. A voice urges them to fight bravely, instilling a sense of determination. The protagonist reviews their recently acquired skills, noting improvements in key areas. With abilities such as enemy detection, observation, and investigation upgraded, they feel better equipped for the challenges ahead. The protagonist's skills are updated. Enemy detection shows a marked improvement, while observation, investigation, and psychoanalysis also see enhancements. The protagonist sits on the floor, rubbing his head after a sudden impact. A notification sound echoes in the room, drawing his attention. The protagonist sits in an unfamiliar room, confusion evident as he begins to assess his surroundings. He wonders about his location, trying to piece together how he arrived there. The protagonist examines a device on his wrist, puzzled by its assertive voice. He contemplates its functionality, intrigued by its presence. The protagonist introduces himself as Weno from Gunma, a third-year student at the local national university. The protagonist wakes up, confused about his surroundings and his lack of clothes. He recalls the last moments before falling asleep, realizing he was doing exercises after a shower. The protagonist examines a device on his wrist, puzzled by the message it displays. He contemplates the possibility of being a victim of a prank or something more serious. As he navigates the situation, he decides to interact with the screen. The protagonist scans a list of special benefits available to him, from a katana to a nuclear submarine. The protagonist reviews the list of intriguing options, noting the presence of unusual items like reinforced armor and a strategic nuclear submarine. He observes that other individuals are also considering their choices. Among the options, he encounters a peculiar offer for a servant. The protagonist encounters a message on his wrist device, prompting him to confirm whether he has read a crucial section. The options appear straightforward, yet the wording catches his attention. The protagonist receives a notification on his device, alerting him about a missed opportunity. The message highlights that the convenient water bottle came with an additional bonus. He remembers this, as it may be important for his future. The protagonist is presented with a humorous list alongside a convenient water bottle. Each option features a different bonus, ranging from a pure version of a lady to a childhood friend. The protagonist yells in frustration, questioning why the water bottle is the right choice. The protagonist stares at the screen displaying his stats, shocked to see his life reduced to numbers. He processes the information, realizing that this new reality is far from ordinary. The protagonist realizes that his situation resembles a tabletop RPG. He notes that, at first glance, it appears to be an exploration game. Reflecting on his skills, he wonders if they primarily focus on exploration while also considering his intelligence, willpower, and luck. The protagonist receives a mission notice from the 113th Prime Minister of Japan. Takamina Shiori, the 113th Prime Minister of Japan, has issued a task, a simple mission to exit his room, with a reward of 10,000 yen awaiting him. This serves as motivation to take that first step. The protagonist and psychoanalysis also see enhancements. Stares at the mission details, his eyes wide as he processes the information. A reward of 10,000 yen is on the line, and it's been issued by Takamina Shirori. He expresses his confusion, overwhelmed by the unexpected situation. He wonders what it means to be called Japan's representative, unsure of what the task entails. The message from Takamina leaves him feeling out of place, realizing he's not part of the Olympics. He reads the mission details again, puzzled by the simplicity of the task: just leave his room for a 10,000 yen reward. He can't help but wonder why this is even a mission. With determination, the protagonist swings open the door and steps into the unknown. He pauses for a moment, taking in the space ahead. As he enters the hallway, unease sets in, and he realizes that the once familiar environment now feels eerie, making him hesitate. Standing at the doorway, he glances into a dimly lit bedroom. A small smile tugs at his lips as he reads the notification about the 10,000 yen transfer. His chest hurts as he acknowledges the discomfort and reflects on the mission assigned to him. He needs to find his room for the reward nearby. Another character comments on the situation, suggesting that there's more awareness of his predicament than he initially thought. The protagonist surveys the layout of the rooms, realizing he's moved from the office to his private room. He examines his new items, a knife and 3 recommended books on traps and knife fighting, and assesses the unfolding situation, realizing it's not looking good. Fully aware that he needs to find a way out, the gravity of the moment pushes him to think critically about his next steps. Reviewing the mission details on his device, the protagonist notes that the task is to prepare and explore outside his room. The reward is a standard armor model, and the commissioner is the Japanese Minister of Finance. After completing the mission, the 10,000 yen has been transferred to his account. The protagonist looks down at the scene, feeling embarrassed as he realizes his current position is less than graceful, and the situation is more awkward than he anticipated. He gazes at the door, contemplating the possibility of an attack once he steps outside, but dismisses the thought, still feeling uneasy. Glancing at the mission details, he notes that the reward is a regular armor model issued by the Japanese Minister of Finance. The increasing difficulty of the tasks ahead makes him realize he needs to be prepared. He decides to trust the Prime Minister's judgment and feels confident about heading to the hall unarmed. The potential dangers present in the room don't faze him, and he brushes off the concern. Standing in front of the door, the protagonist reflects on the skills he's yet to use, particularly those tailored for exploration. He decides to activate the enemy detection feature on his device. Scanning the room, his attention is drawn to the cluttered with various items. Suddenly, an alert catches his eye, revealing a holographic projection of the surrounding space. He is taken aback, his eyes wide as he processes the unexpected activation of his device. Standing with the device in hand, he marvels at the holographic display projecting the room's layout, recognizing how far technology has come. Overwhelmed by the bizarre technology surrounding him, the protagonist feels completely out of his depth, concerned about how Japan's leaders might perceive him. Reflecting on the implications of being in such a vulnerable position, he stands in the center of a chaotic scene, surrounded by a crowd of suited individuals. They all seem focused on the same goal, raising their fists and banners. The protagonist peers through the door, straining to listen, but realizes that he can't hear anything at all. A skill labeled listening catches his attention, prompting him to consider how to use it. Scanning the empty hallway, the protagonist notices that the enemy hunting skill isn't reacting at all. He takes this as a sign that the coast might be clear and, with caution, prepares to move forward. As he glances down the hallway, he contemplates whether it's safe to move. Weighing his options, he realizes that the quiet might be an opportunity. He decides to step forward. Preparing to step into the next room, the protagonist feels a mix of anticipation and caution. He knows that this is the start of his first exploration, a significant moment for Gun Ma Gong. As the door clicks open, he steels himself for whatever awaits on the other side. Listening to the discussion around him, he notes the mixed opinions about his reliability. While some express doubt, others reassure him, urging confidence. With a knife in hand, he prepares to prove himself in the upcoming challenge. Sitting on the floor, the protagonist feels the weight of the situation around him. A group of suited individuals watches quietly, their expressions unreadable. He recalls their earlier comments about cowardice and ponders the expectations placed upon him. Reflecting on the long and arduous 7.5-hour journey spent exploring various rooms, he only reaches the 5th room before realizing the difficulty ahead. Standing in the room, the protagonist looks around in surprise. There are no enemies present, which feels unusual after his long exploration. Upon finishing his exploration, he realizes he's mapped out the entire area. Surprised by how quickly he's completed his task, he holsters his weapon and gets ready to move on. Checking the floor plan, the protagonist notices his room is identical to the one next door. The entire facility is designed to house 2 officers and 96 soldiers, resembling a standard military base layout. A notification informs him that his mission is complete, and a quick survey earns him a standard-issue armor upgrade. He thinks to himself that there is probably someone else in a similar situation. Having just finished his mission, the protagonist heads to the tool room to collect his 10,000 yen reward. The Chief Cabinet Secretary of Japan, Shigeru Yoshida, even sent a message saying he's doing a good job, which sounds like someone's got a sweet gig. The protagonist looks around the room, surprised to see a big blank computer screen and a box taking up most of the space. He seems to think this is what he was looking for. Suddenly, he trips, then looks at his computer, which notifies him that he has some unclaimed mission rewards. It seems he's about to check them out. He opens a box labeled Japan Defense Forces, and is surprised by the contents, some snacks, a few cokes, and a note from the ministry saying not to overdo it. Pulling out a crumpled package, he realizes it's not armor. Gun Ma Gong is now geared up in his new armor. He's surprised that it's lighter than he expected. After completing the mission, he finds that 10,000 yen has been deposited into his account. He's just received his mission briefing for his first dungeon crawl, and the reward will be 6 unmanned recon drones. The Minister of Land, Infrastructure, Transport, and Tourism sent him a note that simply says, "Farewell, and come home safe." Gun Ma Gong is getting a briefing from a serious-looking man, who drops hints about a dungeon. Gun Ma Gong, clearly surprised, wonders if this is really happening. He realizes he's at a crossroads in a military base he's been to before, so it doesn't seem too unusual. He's thinking about just trying the door in front of him, but then it hits him, he's about to fight in a dungeon. Staring at some intense artwork, Gun Ma Gong sees a giant robot and a monstrous creature. The caption says, "There's 4, so maybe there are more where those came from." He's looking at 2 very different pictures, one of a wrecked robot and another depicting a religious scene with angels. It seems there are 4 different dungeons, and Gun Ma Gong's mind races, wondering what's in store. In the room with a bunch of doors, Gun Ma Gong tries to figure out which one to choose. His mission is simple, get in and get out. However, he still has to decide which door to take. He considers avoiding the one that leads to the robot-themed room. Thinking back, Gun Ma Gong realizes he was naive to think things would be easy. It seems that things are about to get much harder. Facing a choice between doors, he understands that this is a big decision. Staring at the creepy designs on the doors, he reflects that no one else can make the decision but himself. As Gun Ma Gong prepares to go through one of the doors, he encounters a girl covered in blood. Her eyes are completely black, and she's holding a sword. It's a disturbing image, she's been through something horrific. More weird, slimy creatures are crawling on her. She looks menacing. Then, a soldier lies on the ground, looking pretty messed up. The girl looks at him, and it's clear she might have something to do with it. She's grinning and saying, "Hello," in a very unsettling way. It seems like things are about to get even more intense. Gun Ma Gong's eyes are wide as the situation grows more dangerous.